are talking with Janelle from Trilogy Escrow. She is certainly someone that we pride ourselves in with regards to our sales transactions. So we thought we'd take this time to introduce her so you can see part of our support team. So Janelle, thanks for joining us. How are you doing during this time of COVID-19?
Doing okay, keeping very busy actually, and coming in the office every day and working. We're working a lot of hours, so we have nothing's basically changed for us except the office is kind of quiet.
So how long have you been in the escrow business, and how did you get involved in that?
Let's see, ever since my youngest child is a year old, and she just turned 35 this year. So 34 years. I got into it because I was working for Fullerton Savings and Loan way back in the day. The manager of the escrow department was looking to retire, so they were looking to hire from within and teach somebody the business from the beginning. So somebody completely unexperienced. I had no idea what escrow really was.
I've only been around you for a couple of years. Jacob, how long have you used Janelle as an escrow officer?
I think I've used Janelle for about 4.5 years. 4.5, 5 years.
I have my own thoughts, but I'm curious, Jacob, what your thoughts are. When you think of Janelle, what are a couple of phrases or words that come to your mind?
Janelle and I both share a love for baseball, especially Angels baseball. So there's always that connection, which is non-real estate at all, but it does help with our friendship. Okay. I really like working with Janelle for a couple of reasons, and I tell all the time. Real estate is it's a great job, and I love what I do, and we have a team of people that we surround ourselves with that do it well and make us look good. I kind of look to myself as being kind of pretty patient. I think I don't lose my temper or my cool. I don't get too stressed out too many times. But there are times during escrow I kind of get stressed and I kind of get frustrated with, the process, or someone not providing the documentation they need, or slowing us down if my sellers are in escrow and buyers aren't providing. So every time I'm on the phone with Janelle, she is like, not in a bad sense, but she's like flatline. Janelle doesn't get excited. She doesn't kind of go the span of emotions. So for me, when I'm on the phone with her in the middle of a stressful situation, I can get off the phone. I'm like, okay, Janelle made me feel better. She's got it taken care of. So she doesn't get me excited, which is probably not good. I don't need any extra fuel when I'm in those situations.
Yeah, I would take it one step further. When I think of you, Janelle, I think of calm in the storm, and very accommodating, very responsive. Those are sort of the traits that I've always appreciated from you over the last couple of years. So let's even talk about it. I mean, we as agents, we know what escrow is, but buyers and sellers and potential buyers and sellers, they hear the term escrow all the time. What is escrow? What's an escrow officer? And what role do you play in a real estate transaction?
Well, escrow is defined as a neutral third party that to facilitate a contract between a buyer and a seller. So basically, we take in the buyer's funds and we prepare the documents for the seller to sign, and then we hold those items so till it's ready to close. Then we record the deed that the seller has signed, and then that constitutes closing. Take those funds and provide those to the seller. Buyer gets the property, seller gets the money. So we're just that neutral third party.
So let's even move over to the buyers and sellers. So what's important for them to provide you guys as escrow to help avoid these delays in closing?
For the buyer, once we send out escrow documents, not only do we send out an instruction, which allows us to fulfill the contract, we send out informational forms. We need to know who they're going to use for their homeowner's insurance. We need to know how they're going to hold title. They need to follow through with figuring those items out so that we know, because their lender is asking us for that information. As far as the seller, them giving us their payoff information.
So Jacob, what do we do to facilitate this with our buyers and sellers?
Working in escrow is a little bit different with buyers and sellers. Usually in a situation when you're representing a seller, we get to kind of work with the services of our choice. So when we have sellers, we get to work with Janelle more often than not. When we have buyers, on occasion we get to, but we don't always going to kind of dictate that. So when we work with sellers, there's a lot of things that we kind of do up front as agents. When we take a listing, we are automatically on the phone with Janelle, especially if we know the property is in an HOA, because we want to find out how long do those docs take to get, what are the fees involved. And if we take a listing today, but it's not going on the market for 3 or 4 weeks, we like to have all that stuff ready to go before we put the house on the market. Yeah. Janelle works with us also with our termite contractors, making sure that they get paid, and all those things are kind of taken care of. So we work up front trying to get as much done beforehand, so we don't have any kind of like hurdles and rushing through the finish line. As far as, what is our response during an escrow or during a transaction with escrow, there are things that we do and there are things that we don't do. One big thing that we do not do, it's our business model for not only ourselves, but for our broker and Janelle as well. We do not provide escrow or wiring instructions to any of our buyers. We completely stay out of that. We provide escrow with all of the buyers or sellers' information, and they handle that. I do jump in and make sure that my buyers have received it. I make sure that they know that the wire needs to be into escrow within the contractual time, which is usually 72 business hours after the escrow has been opened. When escrow instructions go out, we do stay on top of our buyers and sellers to make sure those are completed quickly. Some people like to wait 3 weeks, and then that just slows escrow down or puts a lot of pressure on Janelle or ourselves. There's a lot of things like Janelle talked about, how buyers and sellers want to hold title when they buy things. We cannot give information and tell them how they need to hold title. I direct them to a website or to like definitions, or I have them call their attorney or their accountant, because there are tax implications on that. So we kind of can guide them, but my job is more prodding and kind of just staying on top of them through communication, making sure that we get what we need. So Janelle isn't stressed on day 26.
Yeah, of a 27-day deal.
One of the great things with working with you guys is you do order all of those things ahead of time. You already have a prelim by the time escrow opens. You've already investigated for HOA docs or tried to get them ordered or had me order them before you open escrow. All of those things are so great and so helpful, because then we can look at the title report as soon as we have our contract and say, oh gosh, what about, item number 6? Did we clear this, or what do we need to do to clear it? So that helps a lot. So doing things like that, those are things that hold up escrow when those things aren't done.
Jacob, as we close here, give us one story where Janelle helped you out of a jam or helped you through like one of your biggest, most difficult deals.
Oh, I don't know if I can specifically name one. I know there are several, and most of them hinge around the HOA docs. Most of them are having to just fight with HOA. Mm-hmm. And then there have been a couple where she's had to fight with a lender because we have representing the seller and we don't get to dictate who the buyer uses as a lender. So we pride ourselves on being over communicators, which sometimes can be, a lot of extra work on our part, but there's never anything left undone. So, Janelle's, for me, she's met with buyers after hours. She's had them come into her office. She's gone to their house. For me, it's not maybe one specific thing, but it's just a consistent level of service that she provides, not only to myself, but I know that when my clients are with her, I don't ever fear that she's going to do something that I wouldn't do or wouldn't represent my team well.
Yeah, I would agree 100% with that. The quality people that we surround ourselves with, as far as Jacob and I's business in real estate. So we thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for all the work and effort that you put into your craft to help us out. So for Jacob Abilin, I am James Ornos from the Abilin Group. We wish you guys a great day. Continue to be safe, and we will see you next time.